and welcome back to the Crafty Contemplations podcast. Hi, welcome back to the Crafty Contemplations podcast. My name is Val, and it's literally been a year. So I wanted to start with a little personal update and just kind of welcome anybody who might be new coming in. So just a little introduction. My name is Val. I live in the Tampa Bay area. I'm a classroom teacher, but I love being creative. So anything arts, crafts, making, you name it, I'm there, or I've tried it, or I want to try it. I live with my husband and our daughter, menagerie of 2 cats and 2 dogs. So life is wonderfully chaotic right now. But in this podcast, I just want to bring you along for the creative ride, right? For the creative journey. I believe that everybody deserves to have a creative hobby. I'm an art teacher, so in my classroom, I really want to encourage my students to find something that they are interested in, right? Something that they love, that they can carry with them into the rest of their lives, because art is an outlet for so many of us, and I just think that that's incredibly important, whatever your art or craft or hobby might be. So it's been a year. It's been literally a year since I've come onto the internet. So here I am again. And I guess I'll start with kind of the obvious, which is why it's been a year and what I'm doing back. So when I was podcasting originally, I was actually working on my master's degree. So I did an online Master's of Arts in Art Education, which was a truly rewarding experience. You may have picked up on the fact that I'm using past tense. I did, in fact, complete my master's degree at the end of March, and my degree was conferred in April. So over the last year especially, things got just tough. We were, working on the thesis component of the degree program, or the capstone part, which was research and writing heavy, and it was a lot. So and of course I was doing that while working full time, right? Teaching in the classroom as well. So it was a lot. I am done. I am incredibly glad to have done it. I already feel like a better teacher. There's something really nice about going back to school, in the sense that we learned a lot of theory, right, in my classes in college, and the only time that I had to kind of apply that theory was in my internship, which was just like the last 6 months of college. So it was really nice to be back into the classroom, learning new, different, updated, theories and concepts and stuff, but I was able to apply it immediately into my classroom. And so it felt so much more concrete to me than sometimes those things can feel very abstract. So it was a great program. I would recommend it to anybody, or any art teacher, I should say, because it is definitely the best professional development that I've ever done. It was a great experience. As you might imagine, it was a huge time commitment, very chaotic. I am so glad. I'm so glad to have done it, but I also needed like some serious decompression time when it was over. So here we are at the start of July. I'm about halfway through my summer vacation, and I feel like I'm ready to re-enter the creative world. So here I am. I have a lot to talk about, so I will, from here on out, try to go in our traditional order. So I'll start with what I'm wearing, which is a t-shirt. It's Loft brand. It's one of my favorite shirts. I actually have this shirt. I think I have six shirts. It's like the exact same shirt, but I'm pretty sure I have 6 of them. And this particular one got a stain on it some years ago, and I dyed it just with RIT dye. I used the dye instructions, you know, on the bottle. I dyed it with a couple other pieces of clothing as well, and it's held up super well. I did not use the Color Fast, like the second step Color Fast stuff on this, and I think it's kind of in need of an update, to be honest. It's, you know, fading out a little bit over time, but absolutely love it. Got a whole second life out of this shirt. The other like 5 that I have are all beige, and I do have one pink one, but this is great. I mean, who doesn't need just like a plain black tee that's easy to throw on? And yeah, highly recommend. So I'm a huge fan of throwing things into a RIT dye bath if you need to bring some more life into a piece of clothing. So I'll talk about what I have finished. It's literally been a year, so I can't go through everything that I finished, but I'll go through some of the recent ones. And if you follow me on Instagram, I'm also Crafty Contemplations on Instagram. I do have some like photos up of some of these. The first big project that I completed was the Leith cardigan. Let me hold it up on this side for y'all. So this is the Leith cardigan by the Claret. It is done in intarsia stripes, and there are different like ways to alternate the stripes. So I think in the designer's version, I think she just has 4 different colors, but for my version, I alternated. So the arm, one arm is purple, and then the body on that side is the orange color, and then that has flip-flopped on the other side of the cardigan. And I'll put in a couple pictures, finished object pictures, so that you can see it in a little bit more of its entire glory. This project was just a very, very long-term project. It was easy to pick up, you know, like if I was just sitting down for a little while, it was relatively easy to pick up and work on it. Pattern itself is a relatively simple cardigan. It is worked flat through the body of the cardigan, and then you pick up for sleeves. Pretty straightforward. Good pattern. I enjoyed that part. I didn't feel like it was the most portable project because I had 3 different colors. So, you know, everywhere I went, I had to have 3, at least minimum 3 balls of color. So it definitely took up a lot of space, but it was a lot of fun to work on. I will say this was the first thing that I finished when I finished my master's, and like we were kind of rounding out the school year, and this was the first project that I finished. It took me forever to figure out the double knit button band. Not the technique. The technique was fine. Like I watched a tutorial video, no problem. It's just that I kept having tension issues, and I think that it was kind of like the stress of wrapping up the school year and coming off of my degree program and everything like that. So I started the button band 3 times, maybe 4 times actually, which is like horrifyingly embarrassing to admit. But initially I just had some tension issues on the edge. And some of that went away with blocking. So, I mean, you can't really see it as well anymore. You can see it a little bit on this side. Oh, and I did the pick up as you go double knit button band. There are two ways to do a double knit button or an applied double knit button band. One is where you pick up all the stitches first, and then there's also the option where you can pick up stitches as you go, which is what I opted to do. Like I said, the technique itself, very straightforward. If you're scared of a double knit button band, don't let me scare you off of that because of my terrible tension. It just took a couple tries to get that part right. What I did have to do for mine is I went down to the same needle size that I did for the 1x1 ribbing, but then I had to adjust the pickup rate. The pattern didn't call for the applied double knit button band. In the pattern directions, the designer has you knit the entire button band separately and then sew it on. I didn't want to do that. I felt like that was kind of borrowing trouble because I just wanted to make sure like the rows matched up and everything. So what I ended up doing was I picked up 4 out of every 5 stitches as I made my way along the button band, and that worked out great. I also had to count the buttonholes. One of them is like ever so slightly off, but I did not care enough to go back and fix it, and they're fine. Yeah. I think I'll show you. It's the top button that's slightly off, because you can see the other 3 sit like nicely in the middle of their stripe. This one doesn't have a stripe, but it's like nicely in the middle of the 1x1. And then this top one is just ever so slightly off. I am not worried about it because I will not be buttoning that top button. So I don't think anybody's gonna notice. I mean, you'll notice because I just told you about it, but I don't think anybody would actually notice in real life. I just picked up these basic buttons. They're like a natural color, so that natural color blended in nicely with the kind of natural yarn base as well. Actually, I think both color descriptions used the word natural. So I'm super happy to be done with this. It's really cute. I'm excited to wear it this year. Obviously, it's completely seasonally inappropriate for the moment, but it will be great in the future. The only thing that I didn't love about my personal color choices, and this is just one of those hazards of like picking colors out online, is I wish that I had picked a version of that burnt orange and a version of the purple that had just a little bit more difference in value. They're very dark and they're beautiful colors. And luckily the natural color being in between them, I think sets them off really well. But that's the only thing that I would change. And to me, it was not worth it, like trying to go back for different colors or anything. I was very happy to get started and carry on with it. So I love that. And I'm really excited to wear this. I have 2 dresses that are just kind of like a simple A-line, I guess. Yeah, like a simple A-line dress. One of them is in a kind of pumpkin-y burnt orange color, and one of them is in a nice purple color. So gonna be great for those dresses in particular. And then also I think just on top of jeans, you know, as it goes. Also, if you are considering doing this pattern, just know that the ends are a lot. I wove in all my ends. I am very proud of myself for weaving in all the ends. But after so much effort in that project, there was no way I wasn't going to weave in all the ends. Another project I completed recently was a beanie cap. I knit that for my husband. I do a lot of thrifting. I found a really nice, I mean brand new, cashmere blend sweater for him last year, or like this past winter season. And it's a really nice burgundy color, looks great. I don't have the physical beanie on hand with me because I gave it to him and I don't know where he actually has stored that in his dresser, but I'll pop up a picture so that you can see me wearing it. But that burgundy color works perfectly with that thrifted sweater. Can't remember the brand name of the sweater, but like I said, absolutely, you know, brand new, had never been worn. So I was excited to kind of give him the matching set. So that I used the Pearl Soho Simple Ribbed Hat. They have directions for doing stripes. It also comes in different weights, so you can use different yarn weights. They have, I used a fingering weight. They have different, they have like an Aran weight. They have some options, but I did the largest size and it was awesome. It's the type of pattern that you just cast on and then you knit in the round. You just knit that tube for however long you need to knit it. And then at the crown, you just have those decreases at the end, and eventually you have to go down to the double pointed needles for those decreases. That was a portable project. That was a project that I could take with me. I did not have to think about where I was in the pattern. I just kept an eye on the length as I carried on, and it was just, I did one by one ribbing all the way around. So that was awesome. I also did a little scrap project, and I'm calling this my fake Sophie scarf. I just so happened to find a free pattern, and if it's free, it's for me. So this was a free pattern on Ravelry. It's called The Simple Thing. It's by Melinda Brell, I believe. And it was very nice. She gives, I think, some really clear directions. This is a garter stitch little scarf or scarflet that comes to a triangle point, and it has I-cord edging all around. That's the only tension issue that I had. I mean, I think it looks fine, but when you're, at least for me, when I'm slipping those stitches for the I-cord on the edging, I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but there is a little bit of a difference in those last couple stitches. Like when I hold it up to the light, I can see a little bit more space between those stitches than I can with the rest of my garter. I don't know if that's just way too in the weeds, very nitpicky. Just something that I noticed. But this was a stash buster for me. So I had maybe like 3/4 of a skein of Malabrigo lace, Silkpaca, in the colorway Archangel, and that was left over from a shawl project that I had done. And then I also had, I can't remember the name of this yarn, but the thicker yarn was a 50/50 cotton merino blend. So that's like the mauve color, and then the Archangel is, I mean, the Archangel is a gorgeous colorway. It's like purples and oranges and like a little bit of gold in there. Anyway, I just knew that they were going to look fantastic together, and I think that they do. I am so happy with it. Color gradations, I think, are very subtle. It's just like very squishy and plush. Part of that is the garter stitch, but part of that is the combination of the yarns, I think. So I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. I did one pattern modification, and I can't remember if she talked about it in the pattern. I think she may have mentioned that for the increases and decreases, you can do them at different rates. So in the pattern, the kind of original version, you do the increases or the decreases every 4 rows, like on every 4th row. And I did mine every 6 rows. So just to give it a little bit of that extra length, like to make the slope a little bit more gradual. I did every 6 rows, and it came out great. Super cute. It'll just kind of loop around. I could tie it. I can wear the triangle part in the back and just kind of loop it around. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have fun with it at some point. Again, completely seasonally inappropriate. It is summertime in Florida. There is no reason for me to have just made a triangle scarf, but it's cute and it'll be ready for fall. Let's see. Okay. Next up is a little project that I made for my daughter. My daughter is 3 years old. She is, she's just the best. I made her a little Lovey. This is a Lovey pattern that is like, it's like an infant pattern, right? Like it's just super cute. There's nothing to them. Long story short, I crocheted something for a friend of mine. I crocheted a little amigurumi for her, and Joe saw me working on it. My daughter saw me working on it, and she was like I could tell she wanted something. So I offered to make her something, and I showed her some different patterns, and this had been something that I'd had in my Ravelry since like I was pregnant, and I just never made it. Like it was always my intention to make it for her, and I just never did. So anyway, she was excited about it, even though it's, you know, too young for her. She was still excited about it. So I made her this super cute Princess Leia Lovey. My husband and I love Star Wars. It was like one of the first things that we bonded over. So it's kind of just like a full circle moment. She's had a ton of Star Wars stuff, you know, from like infancy and on. It is amigurumi style, so you have to work the head, you work the pieces that go on top, and then the Lovey itself is just a star shape. It's kind of like you work it flat and then you sew everything together. So that's like the little dress, and it's just a little snuggly Lovey. It's super cute. I used the Made with Love, like the I think it's the Tom Daly yarn that Lionbrand does. And it was just easily accessible at Michael's. The thing that worried me with the amigurumi was being able to get all the correct colors in the same yarn. This was a nice blend of cotton and acrylic. The one thing that I will say is this project killed my hands. I know people talk about, you know, knitters like thumbs. This was the first time that I've ever experienced that. So yeah, it kind of hurt my hands a little bit, but it was really cute. Very short and sweet project. I have lots of yarn left over, so I am looking for someone else in my life who is a Star Wars fan and who has a young child who would like me to crochet them a Princess Leia Lovey. Other things that I have made recently, I have done a lot more sewing actually, or at least like in this last school year, I've done a lot more sewing. There is definitely something to be said for the like relatively instant gratification that sewing gives you compared to knitting. I have made a couple pairs of lane pants. That's the pattern by Sydney Graham. I've really enjoyed them. I've been playing with them a little bit. Some of them have turned out better than others, but it's all in the, you know, it's all in the process. I have been thrifting fabrics, which is part of it. So I've not used, I mean, the pattern is flexible to what kind of fabric you want to use, but I have used thrifted fabrics. So specifically, I have been buying bed sheets from Goodwill and cutting them up. So hopefully, you know, the bed sheets that I found are 100% cotton. Oh, I've also found tablecloths, and actually I made one pair out of a curtain, like a shower curtain. So the shower curtain was like a cotton linen blend. Tablecloths were typically cotton, and then the sheets were cotton. But it's been just a lot of fun experimenting. I am not an experienced sewist at all. I did invest in a serger I found on Facebook Marketplace. I also am using my grandmother's old sewing machine. I've also been watching some of her other tutorials about kind of hacking them for different things. So I've made pants, but I've also made shorts. And so it's just been, like I said, really fun to experiment with that. And there's something to be said for going back to the same pattern again and again, because every time I do them, I feel like I learn something else, and I feel like I can see my progress really well because it's the same pattern. So I can see like very easily how, you know, how I've improved from one project to the next. So one very exciting thing that happened in the Tampa Bay art area, this was January, so we had our first fiber festival. It's called the Sunkissed Fiber Festival. It was held at the Dover Fairgrounds. So it was so much fun. It's a full weekend, so they had Saturday and Sunday available. I went on Saturday with a couple. We met two friends there, which was awesome. The festival itself was really fun. We had vendors from all over the place. I have some reflections on the Fiber Festival. First, they had a really nice setup, I guess, where most of the shopping was inside. Just the way that the fairgrounds are set up, there is an indoor space and then plenty of outdoor space as well. There were several booths outside, and I don't know what the cost difference was for the vendors. I don't know what the deal was with electricity or anything like that, but there were several vendors outside. Most of the vendors were inside. The weather was nice, but the best part about kind of that dual space was they also had like tables and chairs set up outside. So they did encourage people to like sit and knit or work on whatever project you were working with. I really appreciated that they were kind of trying to build community throughout the event. Definitely could have used like some food trucks or something. So I think as they expand the festival, things like that will be sure to come. I mean, it took me forever to go around and decide what I wanted. I did splurge a little bit. I got 2 project quantities, or sweater quantities of yarns that I'll show you. The 2 project quantities that I found. So here is, okay, so funny story about this yarn. I felt this yarn on Saturday and I was kind of thinking about it. I decided on something else on Saturday and I was still thinking about it Sunday morning when I woke up. So I actually went back to the festival Sunday morning just to pick these up. And I'm really glad I did. I'm very excited about this. So this is yarn that was dyed by Fairway Fibers. She's called Fairway Fibers because she donates like a percentage of the profits to this like golf charity, I guess, that I don't know exactly what they do, but it was cool. Anyway, I thought that this was a really interesting blend. It's 69% mulberry silk, 69% mulberry silk, 21% baby Surrey alpaca, and 10% polyamide. It's very soft and it's a little bit thicker too. So like the individual strand itself is a little bit thicker, but it's super soft. And I bought her plum color, which I really love. I bought 3. I have not made a ranunculus yet, but I think that this is what I have set aside to do with that. And I am glad that it's a slightly thicker yarn, because I think that that will, you know, I know that's like the thing with the ranunculus, is that you can knit it at any weight, because the needles are so large. But I think that this thickness of yarn will give a really nice drape to the fabric, and still emphasize that open work detail that the ranunculus is kind of known for. So that's that. Super soft, super squishy. Like I said, I was thinking about it and I went back for it. So that was like my extra splurge of the weekend. The main project quantity that I walked away with was from a dyer called Leading Men Fiber Arts. And they were not local. So the Fairway Fibers folks were local to Florida. These guys were not. I want to say like Illinois or something. I can't remember. But I picked up 3 skeins of, oh yeah, Clinton, Illinois, of their colorway Sachet Away. This yarn base they call Diva, but it's fingering. It's 80% superwash merino and 20% silk. So I was definitely going for the silk content for sure, because these fibers were just like super soft, super squishable. I don't know. I was ready for luxury, I suppose. But each of these skeins comes with 600 yards. So they're like super skeins. I got 3 because I have a project in mind. I'm not going to say the project just in case I change my mind, but I wanted to show you the yarn because I do plan to cast on in the near future, so that way you can keep an eye out for when this yarn comes back. But I am looking for like a very lightweight, very flowy, little bit of extra fabric. So I did get 3 skeins to make sure that I would have enough for that project. And then if I end up changing my mind, I can always use 2 on one project, and then I'll still have something that I can do with the 3rd yarn, whether it's for my daughter or like an accessory or something like that. So that was that. Also at the Fiber Festival, my friend, excuse the crinkling here, my friend gave me some hand spun that her mom made. So this I am very excited about. There are 3 skeins, three balls of this hand spun, which is just beautiful. These are like absolutely my colors, like very autumnal, emphasis on like that yellow ochre brown. There's a little bit of green tone in there. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. And I love looking at the different like variegations of the like the thick and thin, and then how the strands were plied together. It's just, yeah, it's gorgeous. Ooh, you can see a little bit like of orange in the center there. I don't know what the blend is. I am sure that it is mostly merino, or mostly no. There's another one. This one's a little bit more brown. So nice. Like I love this little section where the light and the darker are so pronounced. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this. I think it deserves to be like an accessory. Maybe I can find like a good shawl pattern or something. Something simple that will show off the different colors and the different plying and everything. I've never worked with hand spun before. I'm also not sure like how delicate it is. So if you have any suggestions for me working with hand spun for the first time, I would love to hear them. But I'm thinking something, yeah, like a drapey shawl. Could even be another like Sophie scarf type situation. Not that I need more than one of that like particular style, but I feel like something like that would would show off the yarn really well. Honestly, something like maybe even in stockinette, just so that we could see like the thick and the thin and like that part of like the beauty of the hand spun. So I don't know, I'm open to suggestions, open to ideas. Final reflections on the Fiber Festival. I met my first yarn snobs, you guys, which sounds like such a ridiculous thing to say, but the overall experience was so pleasant that the snobby part of the experience like stood out that much more. Does that make sense? And it was just crazy. I was going around with my friend. She was looking for a sweater's quantity. She specifically wanted superwash because as many of us are, you know, is hard on her clothing. She wanted to be able to throw it in the washing machine. Sounds like a great reason to me. Also, we live in Florida. So like in Florida, you have to dress for 2 climates. You have to dress for the outdoors, which are almost always miserable. And then you have to dress for the air conditioning. And so that can, I mean, it sounds silly, but it can be difficult sometimes because you're always like remembering to bring a sweater with you that you can throw on, or, you know, if like in my classroom, I keep a classroom cardigan that I, you know, keep on the back of my chair for when things get too cold. So anyhow, my friend is also a teacher. She wanted a classroom cardigan. She had a pattern picked out. Again, she was ready to buy a sweater's quantity of yarn. She walks up to a booth. She asks, you know, what their superwash options are. And this lady comes back like, I don't know why you would ever want to wash your yarn, and starts talking, or wash your wool. I don't know why you would ever want to wash your wool. And she starts talking about how she does the snow washing, right? She refreshes her wool in the snow, which I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. If you refresh your knits that way, that's awesome. But this is like completely laughable to say to an art teacher in Florida. We do not have snow. We also sweat like profusely. Like if you are not a person who is used to heat and humidity, like it is hard to express how much people sweat down here. The idea of not washing your clothes is laughable. I don't know. It was just so crazy in the sense that like I said, the rest of the experience was so pleasant that to have that one negative interaction like just stood out so much. And like we really didn't say anything back. I mean, there was no reason to argue, right? Like you don't argue with crazy people. So we just kind of gave each other that look that was like, well, we're not buying from this booth, and we just like moved on to the next one. But it was just so funny to me because that was, like I said, number one, the first time that I've experienced like yarn snobbery in person. But number two, it was just like, know your audience. Like you're vending in Florida. Like we're not washing our knits in the snow. So I'm going to do one more acquisition. I realized that I said that I was going to go in order, and I'm absolutely not going in order because talking about the Fiber Festival, I did acquisitions first. But that's okay. So I have, oh wait, no, I have 2 more acquisitions to talk about actually. It's fine. Order doesn't matter. I made a Goodwill purchase. I really want to try to recycle yarn. So I found this sweater at Goodwill. It is, I mean, it's in great shape. It's ribbing. It looks like 3x3 ribbing to me. 3x3 ribbing. It's a turtleneck. Like it's nothing that I would actually wear. Also ribbing, but I felt it and I was like, ooh, that's really soft. So I took a look at the label and it is 54% ramina, 17% acrylic, 15% nylon, and then 14% rabbit Angora. It is also machine washable, which was really cool. Now I feel really, I did not actually do that intentionally, coming on the tail end of the yarn festival story. But it's machine washable on cold. And that was important to me, picking up something from Goodwill. Anything thrifted like has to be able to be washed. Anyhow, so I picked that up. It is, I feel like the benefit to, well, there's tons of benefits, but I feel like one benefit to secondhand textiles is that you get a sense for like how well everything will wear. So I'm just gonna hold that up. I don't know how well you can see, but the Angora is definitely giving it a nice little halo. But the stitch definition is like still awesome. So I am going to, at least this is my plan, I am going to take this apart. I'm going to cake up some skeins with it. I'm not sure what I will make yet. I think for me, it's something that I would want to be at a much looser gauge. I mean, this is obviously machine knit, so I don't know how comparable it is, but definitely find something looser, something that can be a little bit more drapey, and we'll see what it turns into. So what I am working on right now, and I'm actually very close to being done, is my Lusk tea. So this is the Lusk tea. The Crayabea is featuring very heavily in this podcast today. Not intentionally, not sponsored. But no, I do just really like a lot of her patterns. So this is the Lusk tea. I am doing the 4-ply version, so the fingering weight. The yarn that I'm using is called Hempathy. Let's see if I have the tag. Yes, I do. It is cotton, hemp, and modal blend. And it is in the color Claret. Technically, this is a little bit thick for fingering, I believe. But I think it's coming out perfectly well. So it's worked top down. You work the back flat. There's a little bit of this shoulder seam. I then went ahead and after I joined under the arms, I went ahead and put my stitches on hold. I went back and did my collar, and then I did my sleeves. I am a little bit unsure of the sleeves. These are done exactly to pattern, which is just by the length of the underarm. So they're a little short. So I am working on the body right now. As you can see, I'm supposed to go for like, I don't know, 9 or 10 inches maybe. I'm going to see how close I can get to that. And then I think I might have enough yarn. If I do have a little bit left over, I may go back and lengthen the sleeves a little bit. I'm a little bit torn because, these kind of like plant fibers do tend to stretch a little bit more over time. So I'm not like too worried about it. But just a possibility that I might want a little bit more sleeve length. So we'll see. This is definitely going to be a more cropped tee. So hopefully that gives me a little bit of wiggle room. I am working on this last ball. I have one more full ball and a little tidbit. I don't know. I may not have any left over to go back and add more. I think either way, it'll be fine. But I'm very close to being done with this. I'm in the fun part, just going around and around and around. And yeah, loving it so far. This was a really simple one to follow. I I've had some more thoughts about knitting over the course of the last year because I've found it very difficult to focus on projects. Um, both in the sense of like, I have been having to, like, okay, so let me back up. uh, I mean focus in a couple ways. First of all, is how um, I think, like many of us, I feel like I'm losing my ability to like sustain focus for long periods of time. Um, you know, addictions to phones and social media and things like that make sustained focus a little bit more difficult. Um, so with that, I feel like anytime I'm working on a project, I always have something else going on. I'm always listening to an audiobook, or I'm watching a TV show, or something like that. I do I am in the habit of bringing a project with me if I can. If I have a portable project, a project that's like in this stage, right? Like when you're just going around and around, you're not counting, you know that you just have forever to go until you hit however many inches or however many centimeters. And, there's no thinking involved. I will pull out a project like that, like while I'm waiting. I think part of it is just like everything that I had on my plate the last year, it's been more difficult to carve out time to actually sit and like think about projects. So, like, even with my cardigan, like the button band took me like 3 or 4 times, but it also just took so long because I didn't have the time to devote to it. Um, every time I realized I needed to rip it back out, then I would have to like carve out, an hour for myself to actually like sit down, count things out, like give give myself a little bit of wiggle room to like get in the routine of it. And then at that point, then I could carry on with something else. I could carry on with TV show or audiobook or whatever. Anyway, I don't know. I guess I'm rambling a little bit. I think I think there are two kind of takeaways for me. First, that when I'm in like a particularly busy season, that straightforward knits are the way to go because it's so easy to pick them up wherever you are in the process. But I also think, and this is going to be a challenge for myself, not like um, no kind of like judgment on my ways of work, past or present or future. Um, but just a little bit of challenge is I think what I want to focus on moving forward is being a little bit more monogamous with my whips. um, I have occasionally gotten very excited about a project and wanted to cast on right away, right? Like no matter what I was working on. Um, and I want to leave room for myself to be excited about starting a new project. But I also want to give myself the ability to sustain focus on a single project um, long enough for it to develop, right? Like, I don't know, that's part of the knitting craft is that we have that process and then we have that product. And I don't want to feel like I'm pushing myself to be product driven. I want to kind of offer that to myself as a challenge in sustained focus to kind of work on one knit at a time as much as possible. Um, but then also, I think it will fuel inspiration for my craft to be able to like track my finished products a little bit better. Does that make sense? I don't know. The other thing that I will say is I think it's all about getting my projects to the boring part. um, in other words, if I start a new project, then I want to get through, you know, the shoulders and the collar and the arms and everything, or the sleeves rather, um, until I get to the body, and then I can set it aside and just pull it out whenever, right? Like when I know I'm going to be waiting, when I know that I'm just, pulling it out for a couple minutes at a time. I think the part where I've gotten myself stuck, and I don't know if this is true for anybody else, but I think the part where I found myself getting stuck is when I start another project while I'm still in the thinking portion of a previous project. Let's see. Okay, so actually, before I tell you about my next project, let me tell you about my next project bag. Thanks, I made it. So this is a project bag I made recently. It is a free pattern, or like a free tutorial on YouTube. I'll see if I can dig it up. It's been a long time since I've done it, so no guarantees, but if I can find it, I'll link it. There's some scrap fabric, and then followed the tutorial pretty much exactly. So I have two coordinating fabrics. This one up top has like really nice purples, pinks, yellows, greens. I have kind of a nice basic green at the bottom. And then the purple and yellow pattern for my handle is repeated on the inside of the bag. Oh, excuse the yarn. Repeated on the inside. And it zips. This is also a really nice size. It's a little bit larger than the project bag that is holding my Lusk tee, which is this one. So I feel like, I don't know, I mean, it wouldn't hold a sweater in its like final stage, but it's a pretty good size and it's easy to take with. Anyway, so in my self-made project bag, I do have a sock project that I'm working on. This little guy has come with me everywhere, because I definitely, everything that I was saying earlier about like just getting your work to a place where you can take it with you, that's exactly how I feel about socks. So this is just around and around. All I had to do to start it off was just to cast on, and I've just been going in the round. This is Cascade Heritage, no, it's Cascade Heritage Prints, maybe. It's the sock yarn. This particular one is like the variegated color, and I am using, let me double check. Oh, another thing that I'm doing in my effort to practice sustained focus is I'm printing patterns again. I used to, I still do have stuff on my phone. Like I have my Yarn Buddy app on my phone, so I'm still using that. But I'm gonna try to work from a printed pattern whenever I can. I thought that I may have only printed out like the pages with the actual instructions that I needed, because I'm not seeing the title page. It's Summer Lee. It's like the basic sock. I'll see if I can figure out what it is, and I'll link it below. Yeah, just a basic sock. This color is featuring prominently today. I seem to be loving this kind of, I don't even know what to call this. Let's see, everything's still around me. I feel like I am monochromatic. It's all like shades of pink. This one's leaning toward more, well, this one's definitely leaning more toward burgundy. And this one, of course, is more of like a mauve. But yeah, I've got a whole pink color palette going on right now. All right, so that's that fun little sock project. Then I have a final acquisition, and this is going to be my next cast on. Excuse this ball, that doesn't look very nice. But I have purchased my first Knitting for Olive, and I got the Pure Silk in Artichoke Purple, and this is going to become the Isabel top by the Knit Pearl Girl. I even, oh no, this isn't that same pattern. Okay, but I even like printed it out, highlighted my size, all that good stuff. I even started pulling yarn out because I was ready to cast on and then realized that I forgot my needles. So this is going on my needles next. Now this one, total impulse. This one was I saw it, jaw dropped, loved it, bought it immediately when it came out. So I think to wrap up my kind of like ruminations on working my way toward being a more monogamous knitter, I don't think that I'm not trying to give myself any hard and fast rules, right? Like this is a fun creative hobby. It's not supposed to be like I don't need rules to live by or anything, but I want to leave myself room for the magic, right? Like this is the magic. This is one of those projects that, you know, I saw, I loved, I bought, I cast on, or will cast on shortly. But I do have some ideas about how to kind of make sure that I'm not getting too lost for future works. So tell me what y'all think of this. If you have any other ideas, let me know. But I think I am going to play like yarn bingo, planko, pick things out of a hat. I have projects lined up and I have yarn lined up, right? Like I often purchase yarn with a particular project in mind, and or a lot of the yarn that I have, I've come up with a project for that yarn. So what I think I want to do is I'm going to like categorize it. And this is new for me. I'm not one to like quantify, right? Like I don't know how much yarn I have in stash. I don't know, like I'm not really one to quantify all that, but I have enough projects on my list, like on my TBK, TB Knit list, and I have enough yarn to go with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that up, subject to change. So it'll be more important for the purposes of yarn bingo is what I'll call it. The pattern will be more important than the yarn that I'm working with, right? Like I can always adjust my yarn choice. But I am going to, after the Isabel top, I'm going to put my list together and then I think start drawing at random for what my next cast on is going to be. And maybe that'll also be a little bit more motivating, just for the surprise factor of what's it going to be next. So tell me what you think. Tell me how you have dealt with your TBK list. How have you dealt with the yarn that you already have projects for? Because my list is getting out of control. So, with all that being said, thank you so much for sitting with me and hearing about everything and grand ideas. If you would like to follow along with me a little bit more in real time, please feel free to follow Crafty Contemplations over on Instagram. I am trying to do much better about posting and keeping up with my progress and my projects there as well. So thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, be well.